All right, so welcome to the Deep Dives. We're taking a deep dive today into a report on business trends predicted for 2025. This isn't just like a surface level look, though. We're really trying to figure out the why behind the trends.
I think that's the most important part, right? It's one thing to just see a trend coming,
Yeah.
but it's a whole other thing to understand why it's happening and how it might affect us and how we can maybe even use it to our advantage.
Totally. So before we get lost in the details, can you set the stage for us? What are the big forces that are shaping the business world in 2025, at least according to this report?
Well, the report lays out 4 key drivers. The first one, probably the one that comes to mind first, is the insane speed of technological advancements. We're talking like AI, blockchain,
Yeah.
Internet of Things, all that stuff. All of those things are totally changing how businesses actually work, you know?
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack, and we'll definitely get into all of that. But what about the other forces? What else is going on?
So the second one is the changing consumer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially the younger generations.
Uh-huh.
They're way more, value-driven. They're demanding sustainability, ethical sourcing, transparency. Like, they really want to know what's behind the brands they support.
Oh, yeah. I could definitely relate to that. Like, I think about a company's values a lot more now before I buy something from them.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing. Like, that's causing a lot of change in the way businesses work. Then the third driver is, the global economy, which, let's face it, is kind of all over the place.
Right.
Unpredictable. And businesses have to be super adaptable to keep up with all the changes, potential problems.
Makes sense. So I've got technology, you've got these conscious consumers, and a very shaky global economy. What's the fourth thing? The fourth driver?
Climate change. It's here, it's real, and businesses can't just ignore it anymore. Sustainability isn't like a bonus anymore. It's actually like a must-have.
Right.
In fact, this report suggests that those companies that really go all in on sustainable practices, they might actually end up having a big advantage over everyone else.
Wow. It sounds like there were some really tough challenges coming up, but also some incredible opportunities for, those who are willing to adapt and innovate, right?
Exactly. And that's where the lessons from this report come in. It doesn't just say, hey, these things are happening. It actually tries to give some practical advice.
Perfect.
For both businesses and individuals on how to succeed in this crazy landscape.
I love that. Okay, so let's get into some of those lessons. Let's start with technology. The report makes a big point that, technology isn't just about cool new gadgets. It's about a really big transformation across basically every industry.
Absolutely. I mean, look at retail, right? Like AI-powered recommendations, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Those algorithms are using all sorts of information, your browsing history, what you've bought before, even stuff you do on social media, all to figure out what you might want to buy next.
It's kind of freaky how accurate those things can be sometimes. Like, they know me better than I know myself.
Right. And that's just one example. Then there's manufacturing. Robots are getting so advanced, they're doing tasks that used to be only humans could do. And that's great for efficiency, but it also raises some questions. What happens to those workers? How do people learn the new skills to stay relevant?
Yeah, it seems like both companies and individuals really need to be proactive about learning and developing their skills, right? Like, to keep up with all this change.
That is a major point from the report, lifelong learning. Because the skills that are hot today, they might be totally useless tomorrow. Adaptability, learning new technologies, being open to change, those are the keys to success, not just in 2025, but really moving forward.
So instead of being afraid of all these changes, what you're saying is that the report is encouraging us to kind of see it as an opportunity, like to grow, to learn new things, to develop.
Totally. It's all about shifting that mindset from fear to curiosity.
All right. Love it. Okay, so we've talked about the big picture of technology, but let's zoom in on a specific area that honestly everyone's talking about. Artificial intelligence, AI. The report is saying that it's not a sci-fi thing anymore. It's actually here.
Yeah.
It's already impacting businesses.
Yeah, and a lot of people get it wrong. They think it's about robots taking over the world or replacing all the humans. But the report makes it clear that's not really what AI is about.
So what is it about then?
It's more about augmenting human intelligence, helping us make better decisions,
So it's more like humans and machines working together rather than against each other.
Exactly. AI is really good at things that humans struggle with, like processing huge amounts of data, spotting patterns that we would miss.
Yeah.
So that means it's really useful for predicting things like what products are going to sell well or even what risks to avoid.
Okay, that makes sense. But the report doesn't shy away from the potential downsides of AI either, right? Like there's a lot of talk about bias in algorithms.
Oh yeah, that's a real concern. If you train an AI on bad data, biased data, it's going to make biased decisions.
Right.
Like, imagine a hiring algorithm, right, that's
Yeah.
been trained on old data that's full of bias against, say, women or people of color. It could actually end up discriminating.
Oh, wow. That's a
Yeah.
big problem. So the report's saying that businesses have to be really careful about this, like actively work to make sure their AI is fair and unbiased.
Absolutely. And that's where ethics comes in. Like, developing and using AI in a responsible way, that's super important. Fairness, transparency, being able to explain how it works, those are all really important things.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, I think a lot of people are also worried about AI and jobs. Like, are robots going to take everyone's jobs?
Yeah, that's a common worry, and it's understandable. The report does acknowledge that some jobs will probably be automated,
Mm-hmm.
but it also says that AI will create brand new jobs, jobs that we can't even imagine yet.
So it's not just about job losses, it's also about job evolution, right? Like new industries emerging. So what can people do to kind of prepare for all of this?
I'd say the most important thing is to focus on lifelong learning. Figure out what skills are going to be in demand. Be proactive, don't wait for things to change, and then try to catch up.
Yeah, so basically stay ahead of the curve and always be upskilling.
Exactly. The job market is changing so fast, adaptability is key.
Okay, so it seems like the main message here is don't be afraid of change. See it as a chance to grow, to reinvent yourself, to learn new things.
That's the spirit. The report really emphasizes that the people who are open to new experiences, willing to learn, and adaptable are the ones who are going to thrive.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered technology and AI. Let's move on to another big trend that's shaping the future, sustainability. The report is saying that sustainability isn't just a nice thing to do anymore, it's a core business strategy.
Absolutely. Consumers are demanding it, especially the younger generations. They want businesses to be socially responsible, environmentally responsible. They want ethically sourced products. They want to know that the things they're buying are made sustainably.
It's not enough for companies to just make money anymore.
Yeah.
They also have to show that they're making a positive impact.
Exactly. And those who ignore sustainability, they're putting themselves at a disadvantage. Consumers are voting with their wallets. They're choosing to support businesses that align with their values.
So sustainability is actually a smart business move.
Absolutely. It's good for the planet and good for business. And the report goes into detail about how companies can do this,
Yeah.
like reducing their carbon footprint, sourcing materials responsibly, embracing this idea of a circular economy, making sure their leader practices are ethical.
So it's really about thinking about sustainability in every aspect of the business.
Exactly. From the supply chain to how products are designed to how they treat their employees. And the report argues that the companies that really get this right, those are the ones that are going to be the most resilient and the most successful in the long run.
So sustainability is not just about doing good, it's about doing good business.
Precisely. And it's about attracting and keeping good employees, especially younger people. They want to work for companies that share their values, companies that are committed to making a difference.
It sounds like sustainability is becoming really important for businesses to attract both customers and employees.
Totally. And it's not just about attracting them, it's about keeping them engaged. Employees are going to be more motivated to work for a company that they feel good about.
That makes sense. So it seems like sustainability is more than just a trend. It's really a fundamental shift in how businesses work and how they interact with the world. What are some key takeaways for, individuals who are navigating this sustainability-focused business world?
I'd say the most important thing is to be informed. Be a conscious consumer. Do your research, support the companies that are really committed to sustainability, and hold the ones that aren't accountable.
So use your purchasing power to drive change, basically.
Exactly. And if you're looking for a job, think about working for a company that aligns with your values. It's so much more fulfilling to work for a company you actually believe in.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered technology, AI, sustainability. Let's move on to the last big trend shaping the future of business, data. The report calls data the lifeblood of modern business. It seems like data is becoming more and more important for making smart decisions.
Oh, absolutely. It's essential. Companies are gathering tons of data from everywhere: customer transactions, websites, social media, even sensors. It's incredible how much data is being generated every single second.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. But what are businesses doing with all this data? How are they using it to actually improve what they do?
Oh, they're using it in a lot of ways. One big one is customer analytics, analyzing customer data to understand their behavior, what they like, what they need.
So basically using data to get to know their customers better than ever before.
Exactly. And then they use that knowledge to create better products and services, to personalize their marketing, even to improve their customer service.
It's all about being more customer-centric, creating those really personalized experiences that people actually want.
Yeah, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Businesses are using data to streamline their operations, to become more efficient, to cut costs. It's really about using data to optimize every aspect of the business.
Do you have any specific examples of how this is happening?
Oh, tons. Like in manufacturing, some companies are using sensors in their machines to predict when those machines need maintenance.
Oh, wow.
That prevents breakdowns, saves them a lot of money, and keeps things running smoothly.
So it's like using data to be proactive, to prevent problems before they happen.
Exactly. And in logistics and transportation, they're using data to figure out the best delivery routes, to reduce fuel consumption, to make their supply chains more efficient.
It seems like data is playing a big role in making businesses more sustainable, too.
Absolutely. And in healthcare, it's being used to personalize treatments, to help doctors make better diagnoses, to even speed up the discovery of new drugs.
It's incredible how much potential data has. But the report also warns against just collecting data for no reason, right?
Well, yeah, just having data isn't enough. You need to have a clear plan for what you're going to do with it, how you're going to use it to achieve your goals.
It's about being strategic with data, not just hoarding it.
Exactly. And you need the right tools and the right people to analyze that data and get useful insights from it.
So data literacy is becoming a really important skill for anyone who works in a business. What can people do to improve their data literacy?
There are a ton of resources out there. You can find books, online courses. There are even free tutorials online. You can learn the basics of data analysis and visualization.
It sounds like there are a lot of opportunities to become more data savvy.
Absolutely. And you don't have to be a data scientist to work with data effectively. There are lots of tools and platforms that are designed to be user-friendly, so anyone can learn how to analyze and visualize data.
So it's really about being curious, experimenting with different tools, and figuring out how to apply data to your specific job or your industry.
That's a great way to put it. Data is a powerful tool. You just have to learn how to use it.
This has been a really fascinating overview of the trends that are shaping the future of business. We've talked about technology and AI, sustainability and data. It seems like we're on the verge of some really big changes.
Absolutely. It's an exciting time, but it's also a time of huge disruption. Things are changing faster than ever before.
So what's the main message here? What's the key takeaway for our listeners who are trying to figure out how to navigate this crazy business landscape?
I'd say the most important thing is adaptability. The businesses and individuals who are going to succeed are those who are open to new ideas, willing to learn, and able to adapt to change.
So the future belongs to the agile, the curious, the lifelong learners.
That's a great way to put it. The report really emphasizes those qualities as being essential for success in the face of all this change and uncertainty. Welcome back to the deep dive. In part one, we laid out those big forces that are shaping the business world as we head towards 2025. But now, I think it's time to get a little more practical. What can we actually do with all this information?
Yeah, exactly. Like we've talked about all these big trends, but what does it all mean for our listeners? What can they start doing differently, even tomorrow, based on what we've learned?
One of the coolest things I got from this report is this idea of building a T-shaped skill set.
Okay, remind me, what's T-shaped again?
So imagine a T. The vertical line, that's your deep expertise in one area. You're really good at that one thing.
Right.
But the horizontal line, that represents a broader understanding of other areas, other disciplines. So you're a specialist, but you can also collaborate with people from different backgrounds, different areas of expertise.
So it's not enough to just be like the best at one thing anymore. You need to have that wider knowledge too.
Yeah, the world's getting more complex, more interconnected. So being able to see the bigger picture, connecting the dots, working with people from different fields, that's becoming super important.
I can see how that would be valuable, especially as all these trends we talked about start like overlapping and influencing each other.
Yeah.
But how do you actually develop this T-shaped skill set? What does the report say?
It all starts with this mindset of always learning. Don't limit yourself to just what you know now. Be curious about other fields. Take some online courses, go to workshops, read books that are outside your comfort zone.
So becoming a lifelong learner is
Yeah.
basically the key, right? Always be expanding what you can do.
Exactly. And look for chances to collaborate with people who are different from you, who have different skills. Join industry groups, go to conferences, or even just talk to colleagues from other departments.
So be proactive. Don't wait for opportunities to come to you. Go out and find them.
Exactly. Another super important lesson from the report is about critical thinking.
Hmm.
We're just bombarded with information all the time, right?
Yeah. So you have to be able to filter that information, figure out what's real, what's not, recognize biases, evaluate information objectively.
I feel like that's especially important with all this talk about AI and how algorithms can be biased.
Oh, absolutely. You
Yeah.
can't just blindly trust what an AI tells you. You need to understand how it works, what data it was trained on, what kinds of biases might be baked into it.
So it's not about being afraid of AI, it's about being informed.
Exactly. But critical thinking isn't just about AI, it's about every decision you make in business.
Yeah.
You need to be able to look at data, understand trends, see the potential risks, and make good decisions.
So it's like a foundation for everything else, right? Strong critical thinking skills help you make better choices.
Totally. And the report gives some advice on how to improve your critical thinking, like do things that challenge your assumptions.
Okay, like what
Be
kind of
clear.
things are we talking about here? Well, you could read things that present different perspectives, have debates with people who disagree with you, or even just take some time for yourself to reflect, Really think about things.
So basically, don't get stuck in your own little bubble. Be open to different ways of thinking.
That's it. Critical thinking is about being humble, accepting that you don't know everything, and being open to learning from others.
That's a good point. So we've talked about this T-shaped skill set. We've talked about critical thinking. What other things can individuals do to kind of future-proof their careers?
Stay informed about what's happening in your industry. Read publications, go to conferences, talk to other professionals. You got to stay on top of things.
So it's not enough to just be good at your job today. You have to be thinking about what skills you'll need tomorrow.
Right. And don't be afraid to experiment with new tools, new technologies. The more comfortable you are with technology, the better prepared you'll be for the future.
It seems like that mindset of constantly learning and experimenting is really crucial.
It is. And remember, learning doesn't have to be expensive or formal. There's so much free stuff out there. Podcasts, webinars, online courses. There are so many ways to learn new things.
Yeah, no excuses. And what about networking? How important is that?
Networking is huge. Building relationships with people in your industry, it can open doors, give you valuable insights, help you stay ahead of the curve.
So build that network and then actually use it. Talk to people, get their advice, share your own knowledge.
Exactly. It's about building those mutually beneficial relationships. Okay, so we've talked a lot about what individuals can do. But what about companies? What does the report say about how businesses can thrive in this crazy changing world?
Yeah, what's their advice?
Well, one big thing is creating a culture of innovation. That means building a workplace where people feel comfortable taking risks, trying new things, and challenging the way things have always been done.
So it's about moving away from that, like top-down, do as you're told kind of leadership, and being more open to collaboration and experimentation.
Exactly. And it's about not punishing people for making mistakes, seeing failure as a learning opportunity.
Right? If people are too scared to fail, they're not going to try anything new.
Exactly. The report is basically saying that the companies that can build this culture of innovation, those are the ones that are going to be able to adapt and roll with the punches.
So how can they do that? How can they actually build that culture?
Well, one way is to encourage people to spend some of their time exploring new ideas, trying new approaches.
So give them the freedom and the resources to be creative, to be innovative.
Exactly. And celebrate when people come up with new ideas, even if those ideas don't work out in the end. It's all about encouraging that creative spirit.
It seems like building that culture of innovation really requires a big shift in mindset for both the leadership and the employees.
It does. It's about being okay with not knowing all the answers, being willing to experiment and learn as you go. And it's about empowering people at all levels of the company to contribute their ideas.
So it's not just about the bosses making all the decisions. It's about tapping into the collective intelligence of everyone in the company.
Exactly. The report argues that the companies that can do this well, those are the ones that are going to have a real advantage moving forward. Okay, so we've got innovation. What else?
What other advice does the report have for businesses?
Invest in data analytics. Like we talked about earlier, data is crucial. Companies need to be able to collect it, analyze it, understand what it's telling them.
So they need to build up their capacity to work with data effectively.
Right. And that means investing in the technology, but also in the people who can make sense of all that data.
So it sounds like data literacy is important for everyone in the business, from the CEO down to the newest employee.
Absolutely. The more people who understand data, the better the company is going to be at making decisions, at optimizing how it works, and at creating those awesome customer experiences.
So it's not just about crunching numbers. It's about using data to really understand your customers, your market, your business as a whole.
Precisely. Data can give you incredible insights. You just have to learn how to use it. Okay, one more big piece of advice from the report. Be agile. Be adaptable.
Okay, I can see why that's important. Things are changing so fast, companies need to be able to keep up.
Exactly. The report is saying that the companies that can adapt quickly to new challenges, new customer demands, new technology, those are the ones that are going to survive and thrive in the long run.
So how can companies become more agile, more adaptable? Like, how do they actually do that?
Give their employees more power. Let them make decisions, take action, without having to go through a million layers of bureaucracy.
So more autonomy, more trust in the people who are actually doing the work.
Exactly. And create a culture where it's okay to experiment, to try new things, to learn from mistakes.
It's like that growth mindset we talked about earlier.
Totally. Being adaptable is all about being open to change, being willing to learn and adjust. And it's about creating a work environment where people feel like they can speak up, share their ideas, and take ownership of their work.
So it's about building a culture of trust, a culture of empowerment, where people feel valued and supported.
Exactly. That's what the report says will help companies attract and keep the best talent and navigate all the challenges that are coming. Okay, so we've talked about innovation, we've talked about data, we've talked about agility. Is there anything else, any other big takeaways for businesses?
What else does the report highlight?
One last thing that I think is super important. Focus on the customer experience.
Okay.
Think about it. Customers have so many choices now.
Yeah, that's true.
So to stand out, to really win, you have to offer them something amazing, something that makes them go, wow.
So it's not just about the product anymore. It's about the whole experience.
Yeah,
How do you make your customers feel?
exactly. And the report says that the companies that put the customer first, but really focus on creating a positive experience, those are the companies that build the strongest brands and the most loyal customers.
So how do they do that? How can they actually improve the customer experience?
Use data. Use it to understand what each individual customer needs and wants, and then personalize their journey.
So make it feel like the company really knows them, understands them.
Yeah. And make it easy for them to interact with the company, whether it's through the website, a mobile app, or even just calling customer service.
It should be smooth. It should be effortless. It should be a good experience from start to finish.
Exactly. And then go the extra mile. Surprise them with something unexpected. A personalized recommendation, proactive customer service, a little puck here and there.
So create an experience that's not just good, it's memorable. It makes people want to come back for more.
Precisely. And those are the companies that will really thrive in the future, the ones that build those strong, positive relationships with their customers.
Wow, this has been an incredible deep dive into all the things businesses need to be thinking about. We've talked about developing that T-shaped skill set, building a culture of innovation, focusing on data, being agile, and of course, creating a truly awesome customer experience. It's a lot to process.
It is. But it's also incredibly exciting. The business world is changing so fast, and it's creating so many amazing opportunities.
So what's the one message you really want our listeners to take away from all of this?
This is a time for action. Don't wait for the future to happen to you. Go out and create it. Develop those skills, embrace innovation, focus on your customers, and don't be afraid to change.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We spent this deep dive exploring the big trends that are going to shape the business world in 2025, and we also talked about some really valuable lessons for anyone who wants to succeed, whether they're an individual or a whole company.
It's been a wild ride, from like how technology is totally changing everything to, how consumers are becoming more and more conscious about what they buy. We've covered so much.
Yeah, and we've talked about building that T-shaped skill set, getting really good at critical thinking, creating a culture where innovation is valued, using data effectively, being agile, and of course that whole customer experience thing.
It's a lot to take in, but hopefully our listeners are feeling, empowered, like they have the tools they need to navigate the future of business.
I hope so too. But before we finish up, there's one more thing I want to touch on. The report kind of hints at it, but doesn't really dive in.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more. What is it?
It's the human element. With all this talk about tech and data and, disruption, it's easy to forget that businesses are made up of people.
That's a really good point. At the end of the day, businesses are all about human beings, the people who work there, the people they serve.
Exactly. And technology can automate certain tasks, make things more efficient, but it can't replace things like creativity and empathy and collaboration and critical thinking.
Those human qualities, those soft skills, they're only going to become more valuable as technology gets more and more advanced. If you can think critically, solve problems in creative ways, connect with people on a human level, that's what's going to set you apart.
So as we try to apply all these lessons and adapt to these big trends, we can't forget about those essential human qualities.
Absolutely. And that means creating workplaces where people feel valued and included and, well, just happy to be there. If you want to attract and keep great employees, you need to build a culture where they feel supported and respected.
That makes so much sense. It's not just about skills and technology. It's about creating an environment where people feel motivated to do their best work.
Exactly. And it's about recognizing that businesses have a responsibility not just to their shareholders, but to their employees, their customers, and the world around them.
So as we look ahead to this future of business, it's about finding that balance, embracing technology and innovation, but also making sure we don't lose sight of the human element.
That's a great way to put it. The future of business isn't just about profits and efficiency. It's about building a world where businesses operate in a way that benefits everyone, a way that's sustainable and ethical and human.
I love that. This has been an amazing deep dive into the trends, the lessons, and the possibilities that are shaping the future of business. I hope our listeners are feeling informed and inspired and ready to take on whatever comes next.
I hope so too. It's been a pleasure talking about all of this with you. I can't wait to see what the future holds for businesses and the people who are shaping them.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll be back again soon with more explorations of the trends that are changing our world. Until then, keep learning, keep innovating, and keep making a difference.